Buenos días a todos y bienvenidos nuevamente.
Everyone, and welcome to the 7th edition of the International Conference of Mycological Cuisine of Castilla y León, Soria Gastronómica. We are coming close to the end. It has been very successful. I want to say again, as I mentioned at the beginning, that we have over 30,000 web visitors. We have been followed by the whole world right at present. And today it's going to be our last session. It's number 13 of this conference. And first of all, I would like to say hello. I think everyone is here now. Our chef, Oriol Castro. Hello, Oriol. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. José Antonio Bonet. José Antonio, hello. Eva Guillamón. Ian Feli Espuelas. Hello, everyone. Today's cuisine is not going to leave anyone indifferent. We are going about avant-garde cuisine, which is quite a recent cuisine all over the world, and it has a lot to do among its aims to generate a revolution in the kitchen, giving a modern image of new techniques with high-quality products, as the case of mushrooms. Today, as I said, Oriol Castro, we were expecting someone else from his team, Eduard Satruch, but due to the pandemics and to adapt to circumstances, it has made it impossible for him to come because Eduardo has to be with the catering and the takeaway that you have implemented very successfully right now. So only Oriol will be present. Thank you very much. Eduardo could have been present, but I am here representing Eduardo and Matteo, the whole team. Okay, we wish you loads of luck in your adaptation to these new times. I am going to read a bit about your professional career and about the restaurant Oriol Gastrofons under the direction of Ferran Adrià. He worked at the Bulli team for an uninterrupted time, also in other restaurants. In 1998, he became the responsible, together with Ferran and Albert Adrià, of the creative team of El Bulli, dedicating a large part of his work to research and development of new dishes for the gastronomic offer of El Bulli. During this time in El Bulli, he was a part of work teams that dedicated themselves to the development of El Bulli catering, the execution of cooking classes, the elaboration and development and conceptualization of all books published, the production of videos to disseminate the gastronomic offer, as well as the development and conceptualization of the Bullipedia. In 2008, he became the co-founder of restaurants with 2 Michelin stars. Oriol, we are going to explain a bit the structure. Each of the presentations had a structure that was adapted to what we were wanting to show. And in this case, the video will be shown continuously, and you will talk over the audio, which is just music. And if you want that the video is stopped at a certain time, then you just tell us about it. So I think we can start watching the video. But first of all, I would like to say something. First of all, I would like to thank the regional governor of Castilla León and also the town council of Soria Gastronómica, and for making this edition and making everything that was necessary to carry it forward. And as I said, I would like to repeat again that Eduardo and Matteo are not present, but it is as if they were, with a lot of enthusiasm, and also part of the team that cannot be present. And also I would like to mention the person together with Mario who made the video. And also I would like to say that when we were first invited to do this presentation, we wanted to show some different innovations, and because we are a creative restaurant, we proceeded to create new things, and we are going to show you some things new that we have made and that we have shown to some guests in our restaurant. So if you want, we are going to see the video first. You are going to see some images of the restaurant, and then we will watch different videos of techniques and also of some dishes. So we can start now, and I will talk. Oriel, I was wanting also to see if you can remind us the mushrooms with which you are going to work. We are going to use milk, cups, trumpets of the dead. Those will be the main mushrooms that we will use, and you will discover the others as we talk throughout the video. And the people who came to record here, you saw the images of the restaurant. We are located in Barcelona. It is a restaurant that has been open for 6 years. Now it creates creative cuisine. We have a tasting menu of about 25, 30 different things. And here you can see our kitchen area. We are cooking here some chocolates with pigeon, and we have seen also some gazpacho. And here we are doing some macaroni pasta with ham gelatin. And here you can see the images of the kitchen with the hake. You can see the whole space. Before starting the service, we meet with Eduard and with Matteo. If Matteo is not present, we will share it with the responsibles of the room to do a briefing regarding guests and everything that can happen during the service. This is the area, the room for the restaurant. Our intention is to show it like a Mediterranean white-tiled terrace. And here we can see with our creative cuisine, this is the welcoming terrace. This is a panoramic view of the top part of the terrace. We filmed it with a drone, and you can see, you can take here your coffee after your meal. And now we are going to see the main part. This is about the workshop, which is the part about enjoying. We did it in November. You can see the lyophilizing machine, another technique that we have incorporated for mushrooms, for pickled milk cups, and we can lyophilize them. And this means removing the water from the mushroom and sublimating it to extract all the flavor with the characteristics that we did them pickled. And we have lyophilized them. So we serve them on the dish. When you can see the dried mushroom, when you see them under the forest, that is a wrinkled dry mushroom, and it has a flavor like mushroom, and it is pickled as well, which is very interesting. And here we are doing some tests in this space, which is the creative space of the Disfrutar restaurant. And we will start in November, and we think that our engine will be creativity. This is one of our techniques, the lyophilization. You can see it. And we did this in September, and at present it is on the menu. And another thing that we are doing here is a stock with a black chanterelle or trumpet of the dead, and with starch as well. This is a new creation that we have done. It is very enjoyable, and we have a wide range of different textures. We are baking the soup with the starch. We are going to work with it on the fire, and you will see that it has a texture of a very thick cream and very elastic as well. And now we cook it properly, working with it. We don't want to have any pieces, solid pieces. We want it to be thick, but without pieces. And here you can see the texture that is almost elastic. It's very interesting texture. And what we are going to do is to put it in a mold, in a silicone mold. And we are going to press it with a different mold, another mold. This has been done with a stock of black chanterelles. We are going to polish it again. We remove the excess, and the thinner you want it, the more you will press it together. We will put it in the oven now. See the result that we obtain. It is like leaves, very, very thin, with a taste of trumpet of the dead mushroom. And this is very curious because it is a very light texture, and we also add some mushroom butter so that we have all the flavor. We serve it with pines on the dish so that you can see our work, our new technique that we have developed in our workshop. If you want to stop the video here, please. Here there is something interesting that we want to explain. This is the tradition part. I don't know if you can see the image here. Can you see? We have mushrooms here. They are in vinegar. We do ourselves this preserve, and these are pickled, and we do the preserve as well. And it is very important that in modern creative kitchen, young people that are starting, they need to have an important foundation of knowledge on cooking. And this is tradition, and we cannot live modern kitchen cuisine without tradition. And tradition involves preserves as well. The evolution can take us to work with new cooking techniques of milk cups. For instance, we are vacuum preserving them, adding a bit of thyme, a bit of rosemary, and a bit of garlic. And we put this with oil, and we imagine that we are covering it. And we confit it at low temperature, and we obtain a preserve that is not on a glass jar, but on a vacuum bag that can last for 3 months. And we can cook it at a certain temperature. And from here, we have been changing our ways of cooking. We can watch it on the video. Can we carry on with the video, please? We think it's very important to convey this message to young people that are starting so that they can see that first we need tradition and then we will bring modernity. And what are we doing here? Well, we are placing some milk cups, button size. They are medium size. We bought them the other day. And rossignols, and we are placing them in a recipient. We are covering them with oil, and we will cover them and we will place them in a machine. It is a Korean origin. You can see the machine on our Disfrutar website, and you can order the machine. You can see the machine. And what we are doing now is adding oil and garlic. And I have to be quite honest and sincere. When we did the video, we were experimenting and we placed a lot of garlic, and we realized that we needed hardly any amount of garlic because otherwise we would get a lot of bitterness. So when you do this at home, you can do it without garlic, just with the herbs and the oil, and add pepper and salt. And here you can see that we are aromatizing the mushrooms. And now what he is going to do is adding the paper so that they do not become dry. This is a Korean machine that was used at Korean homes.
Que la estamos utilizando y nos da unos resultados totalmente diferentes, ¿vale?
And we get completely different result. The product was darker with different shades. And it reminds me a lot of the preserve. Here we are covering the machine, the Korean machine. It has many different programs. If you go on the website, you can see different recipes with different preparations. And now we are going to prepare it, program it with a certain program to obtain some connotations. We are going to leave it for 10, 12 hours, and this will depend on the color of the mushroom that we want to obtain. Daniel is removing the paper now, and you can see that it's a completely different mushroom with a black hue. And we wanted to find different paths, different things in our cuisine. Different results as well that can be surprising, and we can do this different times as well. In this case, we can program the machine and we don't need it to take it out, and now we are going to see the result. The result of this milk cup, button milk cup, it's something completely different to what we are used to. Here you can see the black color, this intense color. There are no times and no recipes. I think what's important is that each one experiments in order to obtain the flavor they want. With more time, we will obtain more caramelization, more color, more deeper flavor. And here you can see the three different mushrooms, and you can compare it with the golden chanterelles before placing them on the machine. The texture is also quite terse because the machine does not go over 118 degrees. So what we wanted to convey here was a new technique applied to mushrooms. The recipe is not as important. The concept is what is important here. Okay, so now we are going to see another of the foundations of the cuisine, which is the stock. And we wanted here to obtain a juice from mushrooms. We could do it also adding meats and vegetables, but that's not what we wanted. We wanted to give more power to the flavor. When we have a big mushroom in the kitchen with not the perfect size, or we do not like its appearance, what we do is create a juice with it. And it's very easy to create it. I'm going to give you a recipe of what we do, which is 900 grams of the golden chanterelles and 150 water, also oil. And we put everything in the pan with a high fire. And with this milk cup, and this is what we do to obtain the juice. And then we will see the result later on. I am going to give you a specific dish. Well, I am not going to do that, because the important thing is the idea, the notion. You can add this juice to any dish, this concentrated juice. In traditional cuisine, we used to use a lot of water. We could almost fill the whole pan with water and use hardly any product. But now we are doing it exactly the other way around, with 900 grams of mushroom, of milk cups, and water, and 100 of oil. So we are going to obtain all the juice from the mushroom, and after cooking for a while, we are going to drain it and sieve it, and so that we can obtain the concentration of the milk cup. We have never seen this method of preparation for the milk cup juice, but now what we can do is mash it to obtain more texture. We are going to do a representation of a dish with these two elaborations. We are going to use a button milk cup that we have pickled ourselves, and we will add another milk cup and the juice, the milk cup juice, and we will have all the flavor in this milk cup dish. It's almost like we're eating the forest and placing all the mushrooms in our mouth. We will also put a small branch here that has been covered in oil, pine oil, so that we get the flavor of the forest from the underwood. And here we get some spheres of egg yolk, which is like a hint. And this is an example of the presentation of a dish. But this mushroom has all these depth to flavor. And this is another application of mushrooms. We are going to do egg. What's important here is the technique that we use for making a sphere. It will be a poached egg at low temperature with carbonara sauce. We have added gluconolactate, and we add the egg yolk and we cover it. In the stock, we have alginate so that it is submerged, and we get this sphere with the size of an egg, and we obtain this poached egg. We have left it for 5 minutes, and now we take it out. We wash it with water, and we remove the excess of the alginate, and now we put it to heat in a pan with water, so that this cream, this carbonara cream, will liquefy. So we will get a liquid cream. And now we are cutting the mushrooms. We are cutting them in pieces, roughly. And what we are going to do is saute them with olive oil, and we will saute with the mushrooms. This is a normal preparation, saute the mushrooms, but it is important that we obtain this texture of the natural mushroom that remind us of a traditional dish of saute mushrooms. This is a creative modern dish with an egg in carbonara sauce with a completely liquid yolk, because it has been cooked for very little time with the carbonara sauce. And we have also used the juice of the milk cups that we prepared earlier. And now what we are going to do is to assemble the dish. Here you can see we have the eggs of the carbonara sauce. We are heating them up with some cubes of Parmesan cheese. And now we are going to assemble everything on the dish. This carbonara egg, the base of the dish, we will add some pork. Usually we use pork juice, but now we are going to use the milk cups that we prepared earlier, the milk cups juice with the carbonara egg. And now we are going to add the mushrooms, the sauteed mushrooms, so that they have this texture. They were lightly sauteed. And in the end, it is a technical cuisine, but with a lot deep flavor, Parmesan cheese cubes. And now we are going to add some sheets of the mushroom. And to finish it off, this is called the piercing, and is to decorate the dish, because we think we can give it a hint to a white dish, a hint with this chicken on a branch, just to dress up the dish. It's like a touch, like a hint. And here, when we break the egg, you can see that the yolk is completely liquid with the carbonara sauce. And when we eat it, we have this symbiosis between the carbonara cream, the egg yolk, and the mushrooms with these deep flavors. And okay, we are going to treat a different product, which is bolitas, and we are going to do bolitas mushroom. This is a machine that makes chocolate, and we are going to use it now. You can see it also on the online shop. We have this machine, you can buy it too. And here you have the bolitas that has been lyophilized, and we are mashing it and grinding it to obtain very fine powder. And we are going to add this butter that we have clarified, removing the water. And now we have the bolitas butter, and we are going to add the butter to whisk it. And this butter that we have prepared earlier with the bolitas, we have two different butters, a very powerful butter with a lot of concentration of bolitas, and the other butter. And we are going to mount it together in the Kenwood, and we are going to whisk it. And this butter by itself, it's incredible. And this can be accompanied with mushrooms. But if you do it just with toasted bread, is fantastic. What's important here is that the concept of preparing this butter can be applied to many mushroom varieties. You can imagine a lyophilized mushroom that can be a trumpet of the dead, or a common mushroom, or a golden chanterelle. All of them can be used with this butter. So it's the important thing is not the recipe, but it's the idea of applying these things in your homes or in your restaurants so that you can exercise your creativity with them. And here we are whisking it together, and we will get some volume, like whisked butter, and we will obtain a considerable volume. We are going to check the temperature. We will heat it if necessary. And this is just the whisked butter. We are adding a mushroom stock made with black chanterelles or trumpets of the dead and common mushroom. And now the butter is absorbing this juice, this water, and we are going to have a whisked butter with a lot of more flavor. We are heating it a bit so that it carries on being whisked at 37 degrees, more or less, and its volume is still increasing. You can imagine if you want to do it with a different mushroom, we would add the stock from a different mushroom. We can do it also with ham cream. I mean, you can do it with anything. What's important is the notion, the idea. And we are doing this whisked butter in a plastic hose so that we can put it in a siphon. And this butter is still warm. And now we are placing it inside the siphon. And now we are going to close the siphon, and we are going to add some gas charges. This is important and very fast, so that it doesn't set, the butter doesn't set. If it happens to you that it is cold, you can add a bit of heat with the blowtorch so that it warms up. We add 2 charges. And what we are going to do is drain it in one of these molds used for ice cream. You can use any plastic recipient, really. We are adding approximately 150 grams. Now we are going to cover it. And we are going to do the vacuum with the green bag so that its volume will increase, as you can see. And what we are going to do is freeze it. We are going to put it on the whisker, but it has to be a long time so that it becomes solid and properly set. And now what we are going to do is take it out from the freezer after a few hours, and we are going to remove the mold. And here we have the butter that has been aired. We are going to remove the air little by little, and we are going to take it out of the mold. Now we have the butter that has a considerable volume. Remember the small amount that we had, it was 150 grams, and how it has expanded. And now we are going to, yes, carry on the video. And now we are going to see the assembly. You will see how we cut it, but the importance is that you see the texture. It is like air. It is not solid. It has volume. It looks almost like a sponge cake. And here we heat it with a blowtorch so you can see how it is melting, and you can understand the difference in volume with its weight. Actually, probably it's 20, 30 grams of butter, but you can see its volume. You can see it melted here. We can present it here with this toast and eat it like this, and you will have a marvelous mushroom tasting butter with a new texture as well that you can do in your restaurants. The important thing is the message. This is made with golden chanterelles and trumpets of the dead, but you can use any other mushroom. You're always using this technique. Now we are going to carry on with one of the traditional dishes, and you are going to see a stock, a mushroom stock.
We have mushroom stock with fresh mushroom, and in this case, as it's September, we didn't have fresh black chanterelles with the frozen ones. We're going to add these black chanterelles with this mushroom. We're going to heat it with some salt and a bit of water. We'll cover.
Que sude esta seta.
We wanted to release its own water, so we're adding a little bit of water now. But as you see, it's very little water because we want the mushroom itself to release, to sweat, as we call it, its own water. Now we drain it and we will obtain a stock of this black chanterelle with mushrooms. This process, if you want to do it in the Oco machine, and if you don't put water with the mushroom itself, it's enough for this concentration of flavor. So this is a stock in the pan that we could do in the Oco machine, like I showed you before. We add agar-agar, about 2.2 grams per liter. We whisk properly, we mix. And now once it has boiled, we're going to put it in these eggshells, and we're going to leave it to become thick, to jellify. This is one of the typical dishes at the Disfrutar restaurant. Many people ask for this because of the magic of this egg, of this flavor that is really incredible. Once we have this jelly, we do the egg yolks that we're going to add them to tempura, flour, and then the tempura to fry them. So we will have a crusty egg outside and liquid inside. The temperature is very important. It has to be a high temperature so that we can fry and that it's crusty or crunchy. Of 200 to 100 degrees. The cooking time will depend on the temperature, but we want it to be white and crunchy. You will see now. And what we do is to remove it and drain it from the oil, to add a bit of salt. We put some salt on it. And then we have the eggshells with the mushroom jelly that we warm in a bain-marie so that the jelly is warm. We put this egg on top and then it can be served to the client. Another touch is this dishes and this preparation that we have, that we are also selling on the online, this crockery that we have designed. And now we cut the egg. You see how it's crunchy and liquid inside. That's the magic, to bite and to get all this crunchy and liquid texture that we combine with the mushrooms. And this is really incredible, this depth of flavor. Now another preparation we have done is a cocktail with mushrooms. It was something impossible. We have a truffle vodka, this mushroom juice or stock, and with some young sauce and ice in rock. As I said, there's the black chanterelle juice, cream made with onion. It's an infusion of cream with onion that we heat and then cool. So in this glass, we put the mushroom juice, the young sauce, a little drop of young sauce, no salt, and the truffle vodka we prepare at Disfrutar when we have truffle. It's an incredible product and many people want to buy because it's one of the liquors that we've made that are incredible. So we mix well. We have this mixture that we do before in front of the client. And then in a whiskey glass, we add the ice. We put the ice about half the glass. We are based on the Louis Russian, a classic cocktail that already exists, and we try to take it to our cuisine, to put it in the middle of the menu. So now we add the liquid on top of the ice cubes, and now we onion cream. If it's warm, we would have a cold part and a warm part. So it's like a marbled texture. So we add it on top. So when we drink, we have the mushroom juice with some alcohol and this onion cream. And we also add this black chanterelle leaf with the butter. So it's a combination, this alcohol cocktail and this leaf with the taste and the crunchy texture. And another preparation, the final one we're going to do, running out of time, is with this machine to prepare chocolate. We're going to prepare oil with mushroom oil. In this case, lyophilized black chanterelles that we are grounding or pulverizing. We did the same thing with the saffron milk cap and with butter. In this case, we're going to add some lecithin. And instead of butter, we're going to add oil, just neutral maize corn oil. And we're grinding this until we obtain an oil with all that flavor of the mushrooms with the black chanterelles. We want a black, deep black oil with plenty of flavor and color. And it truly is a surprising oil, because how can we have a black oil with black chanterelles? Well, we could do it with black olives, but we had never done it with mushrooms, and surprisingly have black oil that can be used in any dish. In the end, it's the same. We could do an oil with just any mushroom. The important thing is the message that you can see that these are oils with mushrooms. And what we wanted to do, well, now going to see some images of the restaurant Disfrutar that were recorded and they're showing now. We wanted you to see the conditions to work, the health conditions. You see the cooks are preparing them. They have two face masks for more safety for the client. We thought this was really important. We work at the highest level of precaution to give the trust so that people can come to our restaurant or any restaurant with all this confidence. And see here some last images of the restaurant. This is the exhibit we've done from our restaurant Disfrutar with Mateu Casaño, Edar Chatru, and myself, Oriol. We wanted to convey the work we do with mushrooms to see if we could contribute with something different, and we are very happy to be able to contribute with something to this conference, which is an incredible conference where we had incredible talks with knowledge, and it's important to contribute with this knowledge to go beyond. Thank you very much, Benigno, and thank you very much to you all. Thank you, Oriol. The truth is that you have surprised us, not even beyond that. It was marvelous. We are very thankful for this work, for these novelties, all the things you do at the restaurant. I have no words to describe everything you showed to us. It's really a wonderful presentation of the highest level. Now we just need to have the opportunity and hope that the pandemic can disappear and we can go to your restaurant and enjoy all of that in person. Well, you have, we'll get a warm welcome whenever you can come. So thank you to Soria and Castilla and Leon for this conference. And we are waiting for you here in Barcelona and Cadaqués. This is your home. Okay, thank you very much. I would like now to give the floor to Dr. Eva Guillamón. And I wanted to ask her, well, Eva has been with us throughout the conference. She works at the Food Technology Department at the INIA, Spanish Institute for Agriculture and Food Research, and she has a PhD in Food Science and Technology. Eva, I suppose you're as surprised as everyone with everything we've seen. This is avant-garde technique, surprise element, but you see that they keep the essence of the flavor, the integrity of the ingredients. What can you tell us about this? I really loved it. I would like to congratulate Oriol and his colleagues for these presentations because they're ideal. I'm happy to see that we're not so far in labs because their culture, they talk about sensations. It's much nicer. But well, in the labs we're colder, but we are working in that same line because many of the preparations and techniques like lyophilization that he mentioned in the Center for the Quality of Food and probably other bodies researching on this food technology, we are working on that. It is so that when you are in the lab, in these cold places, you think you're far away. But when you see these things, you realize that we are not so far away from each other. And they have these applications because in the end, when you're in the lab and never seeing what application it has, doing the research, it's nice to see that it has its application. And we really like to see that. And I'm going to tell you a little bit after congratulating Oriol and his colleagues for this masterclass of cooking. In the Center for Food Quality, apart from purifying and valuing the bioactive compounds, we work on the development of new food. Mainly, we do it to improve or strengthen these food or to make sure they are suitable for people who have celiac disease or other dietary requirements. We've had several projects on this where we have tried to develop snacks from pulses. It's something that is also in the market, and we have this kind of products everywhere. So it's nice to see that there is application after all the research and they reach the public, and also with pasta. And these products, we're trying to combine them with mushrooms, both wild and cultivated mushrooms. And given the area where we are, because this Center for the Quality of Food is in the Department of Technology of Food, but we are located in Soria. So we work for the development of new food to improve them, and we also work so that they are accepted by the consumer, because even if it's very good nutritionally, if the consumer does not accept it, that's why we have research for sensory research. We are also part of a group that I already talked about. It's the micro culinary hubs. We work with European Mycological Institute, with some Michelin star chefs, and we work to valorize the mycological resources that we have in Soria and everywhere else in Spain. We not only work with Soria, but in the last few years, we've worked with varieties that were harvested here. Yesterday in the session 11, where some of the works were presented in this group with the resources in Pinar Grande in Soria. I don't know if it was last year or 2019, we presented research in a conference in Porto on food technology in this same line of molecular cooking that Oriol talked about. So we did some research on the technofunctional properties of mushroom powder. The material we used were 6 wild mushrooms and 2 cultivated mushrooms. Whether we use the black chanterelles, the St. George mushroom, the saffron milk boletus, March mushroom, and golden chanterelle. What we did, they were all harvested in Soria, and the cultivated ones, we bought them in the market or other suppliers in the area. What we did was to lyophilize them, as Oriol did. We also have a lyophilizing machine at the lab to dehydrate these materials and then to purify and concentrate all the samples. It's an equipment we use a lot, and Oriol explained what it's about. It's dehydration, and I think it's one of the methods We've studied with truffles, comparing the aromas, and it's one of the best methods to preserve these aromas. And it allows to use these byproducts or pieces of mushrooms or mushrooms that don't have the appropriate size. You can preserve them and use them for other things and keep them all year. It's not the fresh mushroom, but it allows to use it. It's the best way to preserve the aromas as a processed product. So once we had the lyophilized mushrooms, we grounded them and we measured the technofunctional properties. These properties allowed us to know or to foresee how it will behave when we mix these components, when we mix it with other ingredients, and how they react with the compounds of the other ingredients. So we can see what applications and uses, what treatments it may have, what could be appropriate in order to obtain quality ingredients, innovative ingredients with new presentations, and to improve acceptance for the consumer or the guests, or when they buy at the supermarket, any of these presentations that we prepare. So in this sense, we analyze the pH, the apparent density, absorption capacity for oil, capacity of absorption for water, emulsifying capacity, the stabilization of these emulsions, the foaming capacity, the capacity to form foams or gels to gellify. And well, the pH at first sight gives us an idea when you combine ingredients that we don't combine. If we want little acidity, when we need to see what kind of food, what pH they have when we are going to mix them. For example, in all the mushrooms I mentioned, of the 8 mushrooms we analyzed, the pH was between 584 and 664. Well, depending on what we want to achieve, or the food how we're going to preserve it, we have to bear this in mind. As the capacity of oil absorption, we realize that the lyophilized mushroom powder, not the whole piece. Well, as I said, they were lyophilized in the lab. We realized that the mushroom had a good oil absorption capacity. So it means they can be used because oil preserves, like butter. Butter is a good matrix to mix all these powders because it preserves the aromas very well. And the mushroom we saw, it had good oil absorption capacity. It could be useful when we use it in soups or with meat or other fatty products. And the water absorption capacity, we saw that the Boletus hydrolysis had the highest water absorption capacity, and the capacity to form emulsions, to emulsify, that the saffron milk-up, the Lactarius, the Boletus mushrooms and the March mushroom had a good emulsifying capacity, but when stabilizing these emulsions, only the March mushroom and the Boletus had high capacity for stabilization of these emulsions. And also the foaming capacity, also the Lactarius and the St. George mushroom had a good foaming capacity. So we wanted to create foams or mousse. The others have good capacity, but they had the highest capacity with this lyophilized powder. And the capacity to gellify, we observed that the black chanterelle and the Boletus had the best capacity to gellify. In general, the gellifying capacity, as we saw in what you had prepared when preparing jellies or elastic masses, the technofunctional capacities are due to their proteins, but or other compounds as well. To do a preliminary study, is very rewarding because we can see all these applications, this bulk density that we do in the lab. All these things are useful later to do the testing in the kitchen. So if you can know beforehand if it's better to use for fatty matrices or for mayonnaise sauces. Like, it could be interesting to, I don't know if you've ever prepared them. I just came up with mayonnaise because it's the typical example of this type of, when we talk about emulsion and so on. So, well, there are many mushroom powders that, apart from providing the aromas and the organoleptic values, they can be used as an ingredient to help you create a certain presentation, a certain dish. So this is what I wanted to show, the work. It's done in the lab, but it's very close. It's not so far apart. We have different teams, but you see you have lyophilizing machines. So it's not so different from the equipment you have in the kitchen. We are closer than we really are, than we really think in distance. So as I said, we work in some groups. The micro-culinary hubs, we work with chefs. And the truth is that it's really interesting and very enriching in both directions for all the groups who take part in this. And we are a multidisciplinary group. And well, this is all I wanted to say. But just before finishing, I wanted to congratulate the organization of Soria Gastronómica, because with this terrible year we've had, I think it's important to take it through with this quality and this discussing all these topics. It was very innovative. So I really want to congratulate you from the bottom of my heart, because this year it could have been easier just to turn the page, and you've tried, and I think it was a great result. I hope everybody liked it. So I wanted to congratulate you, really. Thank you very much, Eva, for it was a duty for us. It's very important to continue this line of all these years, these conferences of Soria Gastronómica, and we are very happy, very satisfied on how this went. And now on the chat after your presentation and Ruth's presentation, the people were saying we cannot ask questions because we are so surprised and overwhelmed by everything that's being said. So imagine the level we are reaching in this conference and in this session we are now running. So I just wanted to launch the micro-culinary hubs. Is important, is essential. So Oriol, you are one of the big actors that you could, you're innovative, you could contribute a lot to your relationship with the European Mycological Institute, could be very fruitful on both sides. You have a lot to contribute with in the development of mycology and the gastronomy. And now I wanted to discuss other different topics of the mycological world. That's why I would like to introduce José Antonio Bonet, forest engineering professor at the University of Lérida. He's also a researcher, associate researcher in the Forest Science and Technology Center of Catalonia. He's working with his group in various research projects that are in this interdisciplinary national and international projects focusing on strengthening the relationship between forest management and fungal diversity and productivity using molecular biology techniques, modeling techniques, and multi-scale approaches. José Antonio, you have the floor. I think you're going to tell us very interesting things. We don't have the sound. You have to connect the microphone.
Sí, perfecto. Disculpa. Buenos
Okay,
días a
sorry.
todos y
Good morning,
gracias a la
everyone, and
organización
thank you
por
very much
permitirme
for the
participar
organization
en
for
este
allowing me
evento.
to participate
He de
in this
confesar que estoy
event.
deprimido
I have to
porque
tell
he
you I'm
visto
quite
el
depressed
vídeo
now.
de
I
Oriol de
saw Orion's
disfrutar.
video
Iba mirando a mi
of the
izquierda y
Disfrutar
veía el
restaurant. I
café
was
que me tenía que
looking
preparar porque los
at
restaurantes
my
montados aquí en el campus de la universidad.
Tupperware here that I
Realmente
brought
la
to
comparativa
university,
era
and the
odiosa.
comparison is horrible.
Prometo intentar desquitarme
I'll
viniendo
try I'll go to enjoy at the Disfrutar restaurant to
participar de todas vuestras innovaciones.
to
Al final
take
compartimos
part in your innovations.
prácticamente lo que es la I+D, ¿no? Nosotros en el campo más
We do the
ecológico, más
R&D,
en el campo de la
most
gestión,
the
vosotros
ecology
en el
management,
campo más de la
and you do it
aplicación y el
in
disfrute
the application and the
del
enjoyment from the user.
Yo intentaré en un breve espacio de tiempo
I
también
will briefly
intentaros dar
try
otras pinceladas,
to
otras
give you some
aproximaciones al mundo
strokes to the
los
world
hongos. Un
of
mundo
fungi.
realmente muy diverso, es decir,
It's a very diverse
por ejemplo, a
world.
nivel de Europa se calcula que hay
If in Europe there's
500
about
especies
12,500
vegetales,
plant
a nivel
species.
global se calcula que hay entre
Worldwide,
2 y
there
3
are about
millones, casi
2 to
4
3,
millones de especies
almost 4
diferentes de
millions
hongos.
of different fungi
Entender
species. So you can understand the great diversity,
prolificidad que tiene el mundo de los hongos,
how prolific they
nivel-
are, the
a
kingdom
nivel
of
global.
fungi
De todas maneras,
worldwide.
enlazando un poquillo con las setas que has
But
utilizado tú,
linking with
Oriol,
the mushrooms that you
si
have
vamos
used,
a intentar agrupar y ver estas
if
setas
we
desde un
put
punto de vista
these together from the point of view of
de cómo se alimentan,
of how they
por ejemplo,
feed,
los champiñones.
for
Los
example,
champiñones
mushrooms,
son setas aprobias, es decir, se
these
alimentan
are
de materia
probial
orgánica muerta,
mushrooms, they
mientras que el resto de
eat
setas
dead
que has
organic
utilizado,
matter, and the
los
other
cebes,
ones,
los
the
mícalos,
volitos,
las
saffron milk cap,
son
black
setas
chanterelles,
micorríficas, igual que
the
las trufas, y luego
mycorrhizal
también habrá
mushrooms like
técnicas que has
the
utilizado
truffles that you
en
also
algunas de tus
use
preparaciones.
in one of
Son
your
setas
dishes.
micorríficas. ¿Qué quiere decir?
They're
Desde un punto de vista
mycorrhizal
ecológico,
mushrooms. From the
setas
ecological point of view, it means
necesitan
that
la
these
presencia de un
mushrooms
árbol
need the
huésped
presence of a
como para
tree, a
poder,
host tree, to
Entonces,
live.
establece una relación
So
simbiótica,
there's a symbiotic
cual
relationship,
el hongo le facilita
and the
al
fungus
árbol
provides the tree
nutrientes, le facilita
some
agua,
nutrients and
y en
water,
contraprestación,
and
a través de la
in
fotosíntesis,
exchange with
el árbol
photosynthesis, the
le
tree
transfiere aproximadamente un
transfers
50% del
about
carbono de esta
50% of
fotosíntesis a
the
los hongos.
carbon of this
Pero lo que
photosynthesis
os quería
to
profundizar un poquito más, que
the
son
fungus.
descubrimientos, avances que tenemos
And I wanted to talk about some
años,
advances and progress in the last
esta
few
década,
years. In
es el
this
papel
decade
cada vez más
is the
importante que vamos descubriendo que tienen los hongos a
growing
nivel
role
de
of
gestión del ecosistema global.
fungi
Estos
for
hongos
the
micorríficos,
ecosystem management.
hasta ahora los queríamos asociar
Ectomycorrhizal fungi
en realidad lo
were
que están haciendo es
associated to
servir
the
de
tree,
puente
and
y
they're just a
enlazar toda la
bridge.
comunidad.
There's a link of the whole community.
Estas micorrizas, estos
This
hongos micorríficos, también tienen unas
mycorrhizal
estructuras
fungi
exploradoras que
have
tratan de
exploring
las
structures,
y
are
de
the
tal manera que se
IFAs,
establece una
and
red
there's like a
en la cual
network
estas hifas de
where
los
these
diferentes árboles están
IFAs
conectadas,
are connected,
creando esta especie de red,
connecting this
llamado
the
Internet. ¿Por
network,
qué se llama
like
Internet
it's
del
the
bosque?
internet. Why do we call the internet in the
Porque
forest? Well,
también se ha ido
because
descubriendo a través de
we have
diferentes
discovered
técnicas
through various
que
techniques
estas
that
conexiones sirven para
these
transferir
connections
también
allow to
alimentos,
transfer nutrients,
transferir, por ejemplo,
food,
carbono entre
carbon
diferentes
between
árboles.
the different
Eso es
trees.
un cambio realmente espectacular, es un
This is a
cambio
great change
disruptivo de lo que es la ciencia. Hasta ahora
of science.
pensábamos que los árboles
Before
estaban
that, we thought that
compitiendo entre sí,
trees
realmente
were
compiten.
competing with each other, but they
Igual
do
que cualquier
compete.
ecosistema,
Like
los
any
animales compiten entre sí,
ecosystem,
los
animals
vegetales
compete
compiten
with
entre
each
sí.
other, and trees
Pero
do
estamos
as
viendo
well.
que los
But we're
hongos,
seeing that
hubo
fungi,
una investigación
there was a research,
publicada en la revista Science hace 4 años,
it was published in
en
the
el cual mediante
Science
técnicas de uso de isótopos vieron
publication with
cómo
isotopes. They
estas
realized
micorrizas,
that
estas
this
conexiones de
mycorrhiza,
hongos,
this
son los que
fungi
permiten que un
connection,
40%
allow
del
the
carbono que llegan a
40%
estas
of the
micorrizas en el árbol
carbon
se transfieren a otros árboles.
are transferred
De
to
tal
other
manera que son los
trees.
hongos los que
So these,
un poco
it's the
son
fungi
comunistas,
that are like
como un enlace
communists.
comunista, transfieren, ayudan a
Communists link,
transferir
they
carbono
transfer
entre los árboles de
carbon
una
between the
una
different
comunidad.
trees of a
El
community.
avance que es, uno podría
This
esperar que
progress
exista una conexión y que
is that we
este
would not
Internet
expect
del
to have
bosque
this kind of connection,
sirva
this
para
forest
transferir carbono
internet,
entre
to transfer
árboles de la misma
carbon
especie.
between the
Pero
trees
en
of the
bosques,
same
por ejemplo, en
species.
Suiza, se ha
But in
visto
Switzerland,
que incluso
they
se transfiere
discovered that it's even transferred
entre especies
between
diferentes.
different
Por lo
species.
cual,
Therefore, it also opens a new door to a more mystical part of the relationships within the ecosystem between the trees of the same species and different species, to give you an idea of the importance of this transfer of carbon between trees. It is estimated these 280 kilos of carbon that are transferred from tree to tree every year in prairies, meadows, and forests. This opens a new door to other expectations, research lines. So we have to rethink. We realize we need to study what is really happening, what is the relationship that may exist between the different trees, the different species, if they're really competing, if the trees that have a greater amount of carbon through photosynthesis are helping the smaller trees. All in all, it's a new door for the progress of research and the value of fungi, and this adds a new value in the importance of the fungal world.
Thank you very much, Jose Antonio. With everything that you have explained and told us, I remembered the Avatar film with that tree that was communicating all the vegetation and that whole paradise. Very, very interesting. And now I wanted to give the floor to Jordi Serentil, but before that, before reading something about his career and his company, I wanted the camera to show this. Can you see it? These are Laumont is the company that has provided the mycological products with which Oriol has worked, and they have also provided us with the mushrooms that we have used during the conference. Laumont is a company that specializes in the truffle and mushroom trade with over 25 million euro turnover per year. It is the leader in Spain. It has a presence in the wholesale markets in Madrid, Barcelona and Bilbao, with a handling center in Valladolid, that is in Castilla y León, and another one in Tárrega in Catalonia for the truffles. Jordi, from the point of view of everything that we have seen about the forest and technology of foods and what Oriol has created and how you are working, I would like to hear your explanations on, because I was surprised because today I asked you for mushrooms and I get them tomorrow from any part of Spain and maybe the world. So how do you manage? Well, good morning, good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me. And I would like to congratulate the organization and Oriol Castro, because we know what he does is always surprising and is always liked. I have talked with him a lot and I am very thankful for his presentation. And the question whether we are able to move mushrooms from one place to another, well, that's our job actually. Mushroom partly are harvested, but there is also a part of logistics. We have always people in mycological areas, in Galicia, Castilla y León, in Zamora, in all over the place. We have local people. We don't move around with vans. It's local people who know the harvesters, and in the afternoon we buy the products, we group them together, and then we transport it either in Valladolid, where we handle everything, and then we move to the markets, the wholesale markets in Barcelona, Madrid and Bilbao. And for a year or so, we also have a shop online for private individuals or for restaurants in case they want to buy online, and we can sell directly to them. And I think that mushrooms and truffles, one of the things that are needed are speed. They need to be traded the next day. Sometimes I am negotiating in the afternoon with a French wholesaler, and then they say, will I have it, or will not? Well, the mushrooms we're talking about, they're still in the forest. We will collect them tonight, and I will work with them, and then you will have them at night. So it's hard for people to understand that we always work with this 24-hour framework. Wow, so it's basically from the forest to your table through the artists that can give it this style and this wonderful appearance on the dish. Thank you, Jordi. And now I wanted to give the floor to Feliz Sanchez-Espuelas, who is the manager of Seed Group, who also has the production of truffles, but they are directly related to mycological tourism, in this case, truffle tourism. And I would like to hear your opinions on these aspects, because truffles are very important in the world of mycology. And soon the season will start for winter truffles. Good afternoon, Benigno. Good afternoon, everyone. And first of all, I would like to thank Soria Gastronómica for inviting us to this presentation. For us, it is very important to get this opportunity that you are offering us in order to make our work known. Mycological tourism, or truffle tourism, which is part of mycological tourism, is basically 100% focused on truffles. And I am going to tell you a bit about our history related with truffle tourism. Truffle tourism that we offer is an experience tourism for all the senses. We define ourselves in 3 words: to know, to feel, and enjoy, especially to enjoy. And the protagonist, of course, as you can imagine, is the black truffle, Tuber melanosporum, and of course, our partners that have 4 legs, our furry partners. Without them, we cannot speak. Truffle tourism, our company was born over 15 years ago. We call it truffle tourism because it's very similar to truffle cultivation. We did not think a lot, actually, if truffle cultivation is cultivation of truffle, then truffle tourism is a tourism related to truffles. Okay, so as I said, at the beginning, it was just an idea, and it took us a while to implement it, to offer it to the public, because we were scared to expose where truffles are located, to take people to a plantation and tell them, look, we have truffles here. We were scared of doing this, and we were putting it off. But in the end, we moved and we took the step. And why? Well, the reason behind it is that there is not a tradition in Spain of truffles in cuisine, and therefore it is an unknown product in almost all respects, in all senses. So the main goal of truffle tourism that we develop is to make this winter truffle known. It is a manner of making truffle culture, and also to promote our main activity, which is the sale of the home oaks that have been mycorrhized, because there are hundreds of truffles species, and I always want to highlight the one we work with. And we also want to convey what our work involves, because we are very passionate about our work, and the people who come to see us, they are be able to see firsthand the whole process of its development. They will get to know first the nursery, and then we will explain the different characteristics of the truffle, how to differentiate it from other truffles. And also we explain about the products available that have been aromatized with artificial products that have nothing to do with the truffle, and a small introduction to what truffles are. And we also try that people enjoy the nature surrounding our environment and the truffle environment. And now I'm going to share a video with you. Hope technology is with me. And I am going to share a video of 2 real experiences. Hang on a second. Yes, we optimize 2 real experiences of truffle tourism. So here it goes.
Bueno, esta primera experiencia tengo que...
first experience, I have to thank everyone and the person who made this first part of the video. It shows images in detail of the tourism center. And here are our partners that are essential for this task.
El paisaje que...
And the landscape that surrounds us is very beautiful. In Soria, in winter, most of the days we have this fascinating blue sky, and if we have a bit of snow, then the show is wonderful, the landscape is wonderful.
Tools of the trade. This digs up the truffle. This goes to the dog so it doesn't eat the truffle. The dog is over here finding the truffle. Let's go.
What is that, Kevin? Kevin.
So this is the truffle that the dog has found, very close to the surface. First things first, after we find the truffle, we need to give the sausage. Otherwise, there's no more truffle. And you don't want to give too much sausage, because if you run out of sausage, you run out of truffles. Truffles after this need to be cleaned slightly, and then basically put into a bag, and we continue on the journey. After, we need to bury the hole again. Oh my God, it's Christmas! Always it's good to have a professional. You can clearly see that we're leaving a lot of truffles in the hole. You want? So we give the sausages to the dog and also to the truffle. Bobby! Well done. 2 truffles, 2 dogs, 1 chef. He's not giving up.
Bueno, pues...
Okay, so well, on my side, this is what I was wanting to show and comment. Thank you very much again. Thank you, Feli. The videos were very illustrative. It is a recommended experience for everyone because it is enjoyed. Oriol was there as well, and he knows Soria properly, and he knows what it is a visit to a truffle plantation. And I think with this, showing the reality of the product to the consumer and everything that it entails and everything that is attractive to it, they can see what it takes to bring the truffle to that dish. And now I want to say hello to someone at the other side of the ocean, and especially Oriol. Do we have connection? It is a surprise again that we have prepared. Here we have Fernando Salazar. Hello, Fernando. How are you, Oriol, my friend? Very good. Very happy to be here. I loved your presentation. We cannot be there, unfortunately, to visit you, but we will go on the next years. Yeah, we hope so. And very happy to say hello to everyone. Everything was fine. And I want to say hello to your team too. Yes, of course, I will say. And we hope you come here. Okay, thank you. Greetings. Greetings. Fernando Salazar is a benchmark of gastronomic cuisine at international level. He has been for over 40 years in the hospitality industry. He has been the director of main chains, and he has also been the director of the Culinary Institute in America, one of the most important schools in America. And his gastronomical knowledge has made him be a jury member in several events at international level, also in Spain for tapas, and also about truffles. And I wanted to ask Fernando, how is the trade or the mycological trade and gastronomy in the United States, and what are its links with what we are doing in Spain? Okay, so I would say that I have been involved in gastronomy for over 40 years with hotels, including Russia and Europe, and specifically in the United States with this love for mushrooms and truffles has grown exponentially in the last years. And precisely knowing that I would be present in this session, I visited a supermarket, a high range supermarket, a gourmet supermarket, and I found things that I had never seen before. For instance, I found something that I had never seen before, which is lion's mane, which is a mushroom at $35 per pound, not per kilo. And also lobster mushrooms that we saw last week with the chef from Canada, and $39 per pound. So there are mushrooms that are high quality and people buy them, and this is why they are brought. If they were not sold, of course, they would not be brought. And also other mushrooms like portobello and others. And so what happens? In restaurants, you can see a lot more mushrooms. And why? Because this is a trick, this is some advice I would give you. I am part of a council with the American Institute and the Harvard University, and this is specifically related to how to change restaurant menus and the way of the eating habits of Americans, so that we can raise awareness about what is called the protein from plants. And they stop eating so much pork and so much meat, actually, to raise awareness about eating mushrooms and see how the way they eat is changing. And this is helping sustainability of the world, because the cattle, as you know, they create a lot of environmental problems, and using plants that are providing food, and this includes mushrooms, this will be better for everyone, of course. Thank you very much, Fernando. And now this is the time of questions from the audience. I think it's going to be difficult because asking about all the interesting things that we have heard is going to be difficult. But I am going to give the floor to my colleague Gustavo Hernandez. Gustavo, we do have some questions. Hello to all the speakers. We are going to start with Feli. When you hunt the truffle and this experience, is it better with a dog or with a pig? Well, actually, it's different. Really, it's more productive to do it with a dog. And why? Because it's not that Buya is phenomenal, but because she has a personality that is unique, and she's not as faithful as the pig. If you tell, you don't even have to tell the dog. The dog sees the door of the car open and they just jump off. And with the pigs, you have to be more patient. But when the pig starts working, it cannot be compared. And the experience that we have throughout our life, we have worked with dogs, and we have been working with the pig only for years, and we only have one pig. So it is difficult also to talk about pigs or dogs, but our pig is very good, yes. Okay, thank you, Feli. And we have now a question for Jordi. They were asking about your company, Laumont. Where do you buy the mushrooms, in what countries, and to what countries do you export? Well, we buy our largest volume in Spain. The business started with buying all the mycological product in Spain, in Castilla-La Mancha, Extremadura, Catalonia, and truffles too, and exporting them all over the world. We export to the United States, Canada, Mexico, Japan, Singapore. Basically, I think all the countries that can have some consumption, we do have some client or distributor. At wholesale level, I am talking. At individual, private level, we only work with Europe. Okay, and now we have some questions for Oriol. You were talking about the problem of mushrooms. It's a problem that has to do with seasonality. And they are saying that apart from lyophilization and freezing, have you studied or researched any other preservation technique for mushrooms and truffles? Well, for truffles, honestly, we have done some tests. We wanted to preserve truffles with gas, but we were not able to develop this work. We are still working on it to preserve truffles with gas. We think there is an open path there, and the other preservations are freezing, preserving jars, and now we are working also with a different technique, but basic with lyophilization. Can I say something about lyophilization? I think it was very interesting, the use of lyophilization in cuisine, because it's something that we have studied ourselves. And since you have asked about this, well, we have lyophilized truffles and also many other species of mushrooms, both wild and cultivated mushrooms. And now we have carried on with some species that are not so much used or so much marketed, but that can also be found in forests. And they give very good results. But as I mentioned earlier, fresh mushrooms and fresh truffles cannot compare, obviously, but one of the best ways of preserving them is lyophilization, because this dehydration, dehydrated mushrooms that have not been lyophilized have been submitted to certain temperatures, and the lyophilized mushroom has been frozen. Our lyophilization machine is minus 80 degrees. So apart from being preserved, you are also eliminating microorganisms that can be troublesome in the future, or avoiding growths or strange aromas and flavors. And it is a very successful way of preserving it. We have checked it in truffles. Not all the mushrooms are preserved in the same manner in terms of aromas, because the aroma profiles are very complex and very different among each other. But I think it is a very good way of preserving them, both at industrial level and also for cuisine. And also the oil that Oriol prepared, well, this oil, if the mushroom or the truffle is used lyophilized, then you are extending its shelf life. And also lyophilized materials do not need cold. They are light in weight. So for logistics and preservation, they have many advantages. And also we have to consider that this powder is concentrated also in aroma, and you cannot use a large amount. But I think it is a method that is very good to have truffles and mushrooms available throughout the year. And well, okay, you cannot have them fresh, but it is a good method of preservation. And what I mentioned about functional properties, when you lyophilize them, you get other properties, because a dried mushroom, a fresh mushroom, you cannot grind it. You can crush it, but not completely grind it into powder. And then you can use other products that would be discarded and in the cuisine when cooking, because they cannot be traded with the same quality or standard or economic profit that would be desirable. So you can use it for these varieties. I think it's very interesting at all levels. I think lyophilization is very interesting. Thank you. Thank you very much, Eva, for your contribution. And now we have another question for Oriol. Regarding the new takeaway from Disfrutar, can you do orders from other provinces? Well, unfortunately, not yet. We are only working in Barcelona. We are open with a different offer. We have more snacks and cocktails, and a different offer for taking away at home. You can collect it at Disfrutar and then take it home, but we do not work outside. Sorry about that. Okay, and to finish, someone mentions regarding recipes that are being developed here in the conference. Well, I want to remind you that the videos will be available through the YouTube channel and also on the website of the conference. Thank you very much. I just want to say something just for a second regarding what Fernando Salazar mentioned. I think it's very important about replacing animal protein with vegetable protein. And this is the sense in which every country is working, not only because it has beneficial effects in nutrition, but also including mushrooms, although they are not actually vegetables, but they do have vegetable proteins. But also, as we work in the Food Quality Center regarding the functional and nutritional compounds, I think it's very interesting because this is one of the topics with which we work in our center. And well, it would be great if we could work with you, actually, because it is one of the working lines that we have in our center. And of course, because of nutritional and functional properties, but also because there are more and more people that are trying to avoid eating meat proteins. So I think there is a great market here. Yes, can I say something? Can you hear me? Okay, yes. What you are saying, of course, if you want to communicate with me, get in touch with me, because the Harvard University is one of the most important universities in the world, and it is also fostering this line with its program called Menus of Change, and we are part of the council there, and this is going to mean a revolution in the subsequent years regarding how we elaborate menus in all restaurants all over the world. And the other thing I wanted to mention is I have been doing for twice this truffle tourism, and it's spectacular. I prefer Bouya, I prefer the pig, because she's spectacular. We are doing truffle tourism also in Oregon, but nothing to do with Saint-Ruf. And I invite you to visit Soria and check this wonderful beauty and to go truffle hunting. And of course, go with Bouya, go with the pig. Thank you. Thank you very much, Fernando. Okay, thank you, Fernando. If there are no more questions, I would like to thank from the bottom of my heart your presence and participation in Soria Gastronómica. Thank you for your contributions. And I also see possibilities of connecting people that are working each on their side so that you can gather together and put your work together in common to develop mycological fields further in terms of cuisine and in terms of tourism and in terms of research as well. And I am going to give a brief summary of these days of the conference that have enabled us to see this cuisine and gastronomy, avant-garde, creative cuisine, but we have also gone down to traditional, ethnical, popular cuisine, traditional gastronomy. We have seen different ways of cooking and relating mushrooms all over the world. We have had the blue mushroom from Mexico, and this is for Lamon challenge. Can you bring it to Europe? Because it is very interesting, this Lactarius indigo with Canada. We have also seen how we work with lobster mushroom in Japan. We have seen a whole industry that is liberating the natural environment for the mycological pressure. We have also seen with China the fascinating mushrooms and its qualities, and also from the point of view of a traditional family cuisine, and also with Portugal, the type of cuisine they are developing there. They are starting now promoting the development and regulation of mycology, and also with New Zealand, and thanks to Angel that has brought here the cultivation of milk caps in New Zealand. And in Spain, of course, we had the opportunity to be with Aragon and to promote the morels that had a bad time, actually. And in Murcia, we have been able to know the desert truffles or the turmas. And with Castilla and Leon, we have also had the opportunity to promote other mushrooms provided by the forest that are less known, but they have a great culinary and economic value. Thank you, everyone. And now I want to give the floor to our Culture and Tourism Councillor, Javier Ortega Alvarez.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being present in this closing ceremony of the 7th Conference of Mycological Cuisine. It's a special edition. Year after year, it has strengthened Soria as a world reference of mycology. We are leaders in mycology and offer in mycotourism, given the variety and the amount or quantity of products and the great work of professionals that work on this sector. This edition of the conference has stated again that Soria Gastronómica is a great example of participation, innovation, discussions with all the players, with the public administration, and has become an initiative within the public and private collaboration. The current health situation has forced us to do this differently, and it was very satisfying, more than we were expecting at the beginning, because Soria Gastronómica was not cancelled or postponed due to the pandemic, but it has taken place with greater strength, with an international projection, with the participation of chefs, researchers from 8 different nationalities, and with representatives of 5 autonomous regions in Spain. This way, and with this new structure, to have up to 5 days of the conference with 13 theme sessions, Soria Gastronómica has arrived in our homes this month of October. More than 1,200 people have registered for the conference to follow the presentations, either live or with recordings. We have had more than 40,000 visits with a great online impact. The special situation, as I said, of this edition did not allow us to enjoy the aromas of this cuisine, of these mushrooms, and the good vibes and sensations that we experience in Soria, in its streets. But thanks to the online version, we had an international projection of this conference with a greater dimension. From the government of Castilla and Leon and tourism department, we will continue to work to promote and develop and boost tourist products such as mycological tourism. The conference that is now finishing has become an unavoidable appointment for the lovers of gastronomy and nature. It creates tradition and avant-garde, and it expands the knowledge on these scientific and cultural aspects. I would like to thank the participation of people from everywhere in the world who have gathered, and also the 50 speakers. And I would like to thank the collaboration of the local council of Soria, the provincial government of Soria, and the European Mycological Institute. So I invite you all to enjoy the mycology in Soria, its cuisine, and in all of Castilla and Leon. Thank you very much for your attention and for your participation. And we wait for you in the next editions of this conference. Thank you very much.